I'm just setting up. I'm setting up the stream on YouTube really quick, and once we're finished with that, we can get started, I guess. Yeah, I'm in my office. The renovations are mostly done, so I'm in my studio, my office, and it's very empty, right? Because we just finished the renovations, basically. It's not totally finished. They just need to do some little stuff. But yeah, I'm gonna need to get some carpet, like a thick carpet to absorb a little bit of the sound, a little bit of the echo, and hope for the best. Yeah, I hope it doesn't sound too bad. Maybe I can bring you guys a little closer and won't sound too horrible. So let's see. Let's see. Can I bring the keyboard in, and then I'll put you guys on my in front of my main screen. Yeah, it's pretty big. Like my ceiling is like I don't know, maybe 4 meters. I guess. Let's see. Two of me stand up shoulder to shoulder. Yeah, my ceiling is more than 2 meters, maybe 2.5 meters. But I'm gonna need to make some adjustments to the video. I gotta do some zoom, some this and that. Let's see, configure. Let's work on this a little bit. If you were something, I'm gonna be next to you. I'm not even gonna lie to you guys. The video feed looks immaculate. It looks amazing. I love it. I love it. I love it. It looks really, really good. Good morning. Should I find a song to play before we start? Should I play a song or nah? Just skip the song today. Maybe skip the song. It already took me so long to prepare. I'll try to make it quick. If you guys can pick a song for me, that'll make it even quicker. So I don't have to think about your song. My morning song, the happy song. Dun, 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 dun. I wanna be next to you. All right, let's see. We are going to go to tabs and see what we find. What would be a good song? Good morning, Carmel. Good morning, Lucy. Oh, this is gonna be a little silly, but you know what? Let's see, go to my tabs. Oh, the Dust Till Dawn song? You really like that song? Really? Okay, that makes my life easier. I'll do that one. Try, 'cause we'll never be alone. I'll be with you when dusk till dawn. Maybe I'm right here. Okay, make sure my stream is up. Give love to your body. Good morning. Interesting name you got there, Mr. Maha. Everything is gonna sound different. Everything is gonna sound different because of the space, this room. Oh, I hope my microphone sounds all right because I'm also recording on the microphone. Let me see. Check, check, one, two. Oh my God, the microphone is not recording. Uh-oh. Let me fix that, guys. One moment. Boom. All right, we're back. Oh, that was so scary. If I would have recorded this whole thing with no microphone on, oof, I'd be so disappointed. I can almost do this song from memory. Let me see. We'll try this. Oh, let me help you. Let me help you. Let me help you, Keenan. One second. Let me help you out. There you go. Congratulations, Keenan. Blocked you instantly. All right. Good morning. Good morning. No, we're only playing one song, then we get into the topic. We're talking about instant gratification. Not trying to be indeed, not trying to be cruel, just trying to be in this. Tell me, are you too? Can you feel where the wind is? Can you feel it too? All the windows, all the windows inside this room. There's only three windows here. 'Cause I wanna touch you, baby. I wanna feel you too. Let's make love tonight. Make it up, fall in love, try. But you'll never be alone. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. Baby, I'm right here. I'll hold you when things go wrong. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. Baby, I'm right here. Baby, I'm right here. We were shut like a jacket, so to yours. We will roll down the rapids to find a way that fits. Can you feel what I'm dance? Can you feel it grow? All the windows inside this room. 'Cause I wanna touch you, baby. And I wanna feel you too. I wanna see the sunrise. See the sentence me and you. And I am on the run. Let's make it tonight. Make it up. Fall in love. Let's try. But you'll never be alone. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. Baby, I'm right here. I'll hold you when things go wrong. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. I'll be with you from dusk till dawn. Baby, I'm right here. Yay! That was alright. It was fun. Alright, let's get trucking. Good morning, everybody, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, all that good stuff. Good morning to you. Let me drop this over here on the side. Boom. I don't need it full screen though. So, today we're going to be doing the opposite discussion, somewhat opposite, still the same, but instead of talking about delayed gratification, which is the more positive side, we're going to be focused a little bit more on instant gratification. So, what is the opposite of delayed gratification? Instant gratification. Let's see. I feel like I need to put the phone somewhere else because This is a little bit not so comfortable. All right, let me see. Put it here. All right, this is good. This is good. So I put the phone where the microphone is. That makes more sense. That works a little bit better. Good. Fantastic. So, instant gratification. What comes to your mind when you hear the term instant gratification? Well, what's the first thing? So, for me, the first thing I think of is really social media. That's like the most obvious, right? Social media, um, junk food, candy, one night stands, things like this. Things like this basically is trying to get some sort of quick satisfaction, right? I think who was it that said this yesterday? I think it was Trisha. I'm like, Trisha's awesome because ever since Trisha compared gratification to satisfaction, I just want to use satisfaction instead. I feel like it makes more sense. So anything that you can do or get that sort of gives you a quick reward or a quick high, the quick hype, that's essentially what we're talking about. I know. No, so no. So Trisha, heads up, I do not have a microphone amplifier. That's the bad news. I don't have a microphone amplifier. What this is just the echo in the room because I'm in my office. And my office is very empty right now. So it's like echo, echo, echo. Yeah. So unfortunately, this is what it's going to sound like today and maybe for a little while. Or at least until I'm able to like fill up the room more, right? So maybe I need to get like a rug in here, absorb some of the sounds, maybe get some shelves and some books up. And all of those things will help absorb more of the sound. And it will sound better, but it's going to take some time, unfortunately. Unless I have some sort of echo cancellation device, which I don't think I do. I don't know if we have. I don't know if we have such technology. It exists, but I don't have it. That's the sad part. So instant gratification, right? So like I was saying, junk food, candy, social media, one night stands, and so on and so forth. All of these are different examples of getting the quick hit, the quick high. And it's never 100%, but you will find that a lot of people who tend to lean towards instant gratification, they usually have a lot of problems with bad habits, addictive behavior, and not only that, they would also have trouble committing. They would also have trouble being in a relationship, like a long-term relationship with a person. They would probably also have trouble keeping a job as well. They are easily bored and this kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's a pretty big office. Upward. So, all of these examples are clearly the total opposite of what we were discussing yesterday in terms of what happens with delayed gratification. So, if you think about it in the space of finance, for example, with trading, a lot of people, they will fall into this trap of putting their money into a stock or a coin or some sort of asset that they think has really quick movements that's going to be able to make them rich overnight, like this kind of stuff. And unfortunately, they just end up losing most of their money. I don't know the exact number, but the fun fact is that like 97% of traders fail, like horribly. And by fail is like fail to beat the market and also fail to make profit. Part of it is going to be because they're not actually traders, they're just people who are trying to make money quick. And then another part of it is because the market is definitely unpredictable. And you need to have patience. You need to have patience, you have to do some things very slowly. So even if you're not interested in finance, even if you're not interested in trading, I think that some of the lessons that you can learn from trading are really useful and you can apply it to your real life, to your day to day life. So I'll give you some examples. So, right off the bat, one of the things that you learn, maybe not early on, but one of the things that you learn when you get into trading is that you shouldn't put more than maybe 2% of your money in any trade. That's all there is to it. If you feel even less confident, put 1%. Like 1% would be ideal. And why is that? What is the perspective or the angle? So the angle is, if you put your money into a bad trade one time, and that bad trade has most of your money, then your account is going to disappear. All your cash disappears basically overnight because you bet all your money on one trade. But if you're putting your money into 1% or 2% of your money into a trade, it's much easier to deal with and to learn from it when it's only 1% of your account or even 2% of your account. So that is basically the idea, is that even if you fail 10 times, it's not really a big deal because you only lost a little bit of money, percentage-wise, right? And then what happens is that you want to be able to make small gains. You want to be able to make small amounts of profit from that 1% or that 2% trade, little by little, right? And then eventually those percentages will compound. So whether you are making money or losing money, it always compounds. So you want to make the most of it. If we apply this to real life, this philosophy, right, of like, you should never put more than 1 or 2% of your money into a trade. Apply this philosophy to real life. If you're thinking about buying a car or buying a house or anything else, any other thing they think is an asset, or invest in a business, right? If doing that is going to take all of your money that you have saved, it's probably a very bad idea. Not only is it a bad idea, it is a very dangerous idea. Because if you lose everything, you have to start from zero all over again. Now, if you're a person that is okay with always starting from zero after you fail, then that's fine. You can go ahead and work like that. You can trade like that. It's not a big deal. But if you're a person who is afraid of losing, like losing your money, losing your assets, that's obviously not a good idea. So the same philosophy could be played into a lot of different things in your life. Whether you're talking about your career, your friends, the people you spend time with, especially the time, right? If you're committing 100% of your time onto one thing and it doesn't work out, it could be pretty devastating. So sometimes it's definitely better to, let's say, diversify the way that you use your time, to mix up and put a little bit of time here and a little bit of time there, or a little bit of money here and a little bit of money there. So yeah, I know, Candy. I know. So when we're talking about like, you know what's funny? I don't even know the word in Chinese for echo, but I know Candy's talking about an echo. Even though I've never seen it before, I immediately knew that Candy's talking about an echo. Oh man, that sucks. Good morning, Xing. Hey. Okay, so let's get to the talking points. Echo, Candy. The word is echo. There's an echo in the room. Exactly. The space is too large and too empty. So there is a strong echo in this room. Yeah. But I mean, hopefully you guys can still hear me pretty clearly and it doesn't sound too bad, right? If it sounds too bad, oh my God, then that means I still can't do anything in my office. That's so depressing. That's so horrible. Okay, let's see. So let's get to our talking points. So as you guys know, I talk about the topic off the top of my head first. Exactly, Iris. I cover some of the topic off the top of my head first, and then I will use some talking points to drive or lead the conversation. So the first one, the definition of instant gratification. And if anybody can write instant gratification in the chat, that would be amazing. So the tendency to go for an immediate reward rather than waiting for a bigger long-term payoff. For example, choosing fast food over healthy meals or scrolling on social media instead of working on long-term goals. Mhm. Thank you very much. 谢谢. So let's use the example of fast food over healthy meals. So we know this. We know this. When you eat fast food versus, let's say, more healthy alternatives, you know that the fast food is not good for you. It's not good for your body. It's not good for your health. It's not good for your energy levels. It's not good for you in terms of your aging, so on and so forth. It's not good for your brain. There's really nothing positive about eating fast food. And we know this. This is common knowledge and common information. However, it is an example of instant gratification. It is a consequence of either, you want something fast or you want something cheap. Well, in China, fast food is not that cheap, but in the US, it's very cheap compared to healthy food. So it's an example of you want something fast or you want something cheap, or you really don't want to go through the trouble of cooking or trying to get healthy food or going to the market, this kind of stuff. So fast food is definitely an example of instant gratification. And we will often ignore the consequences to our body primarily of eating fast food for what? For the short-term benefit, right? So if we were to say like, okay, fast food in China is pretty expensive, generally speaking, so most people probably don't replace their meals with fast food per se. But maybe you can draw the comparison with like fan bian mian, right? Instant noodles or something else like that you will order from like a very, very cheap local restaurant that does really fast food, but not McDonald's or KFC, not like a franchise. So we still have some kind of fast food in China for sure. So what is the alternative, right? Delayed gratification. In the short term, cooking at home, going to the market, eating healthy meals, this kind of stuff is much better for your body. It's much better for your health. It's much better for your energy levels. You feel better all around. And in China, it's also cheaper. So that is much more beneficial, but it's a long-term payoff. It's not something that you feel instantly. It's something that takes time to be able to get the benefits from. And what I mean I mean eating healthy, of course. So in this situation, we have the not the start comparison. What's the word? The stark opposites, if that makes sense. Instant gratification, delayed gratification. All right, next talking point. So talking point, why we crave it. It's wired in our brains. Reward system dopamine kicks in when we satisfy a a short-term desire, making us crave that instant hit. So we understand that it's quite literally in your DNA, in your genetics, to have those cravings. So unfortunately, you are literally fighting against your natural instinct when you're trying to not consume sugars, not consume fatty foods, this kind of stuff, right? You're literally fighting against your natural instinct. But we need to remember that those natural instincts are driven by something else. They're driven by scarcity of like our ancestors and stuff like that. So before we have the world and the lifestyle that we have today, it would be very difficult to have enough sugar or enough fats or enough nutrients to sustain our bodies, right? So when we are able to get it, our brain programs, hey, we need more of this, keep working hard to get more of it. The problem is that today it's really easy to get sugar. It's really easy to get fatty foods. And obviously, if we look at how people have changed and their bodies have changed over time, the population in general, any country in the world, we can see this gradual shift into obesity and people being overweight becoming more norm, right? But this isn't exactly what it is. It's because it's built into our programming, if that makes sense. Okay, let's see. Trisha. So Trisha says, we are aware of the benefits of healthy foods, but even vegetables aren't healthy now. Danger of use of pesticides. Yeah, I understand that. So we know that, right? Not even a lot of, maybe all of the food that we consume now has some sort of genetic modification or something like that, right? It's tough. It's tough because you need to consider something. It's like the fast foods are already bad, right? Fast foods are bad enough. The cakes and sugars and snacks and all that stuff, all the refined sugars are pretty bad as is already. But you know what was a good comparison? I got this comparison from like we call this girl the glucose goddess. I don't know if you know who she is, the French girl. And she gave the example about how grapes today, if you guys go to like the fruit shop and you buy some of those grapes, the green grapes that come in bunches, they have no seeds inside and they're super sweet, super delicious, right? But they're not natural, right? Grapes don't naturally come out without seeds. And grapes also are not naturally so sweet and so sugary. So yeah, we do need to recognize that even besides pesticides or hormones or anything else, that the fruits and the vegetables that we have today are selected to be the way that they are on purpose, right? It is intentional. So that can be very problematic, where eating an apple or eating grapes can have the same effects as eating a cake, basically. Yeah. So that's another issue, right? But as a parent, it's our job to take care of that. So kids have no resistance to the sugar or any other kinds of fast food until they have bad teeth. Yeah, that's very, very true. And that is definitely one of the main responsibilities of a parent, is to educate your kids about this sort of issue, right? What can happen to their bodies? What can happen to their teeth? What can happen to their bones? So there is nothing wrong with eating sugar. There's nothing wrong with consuming sugar. The problem comes when you are consuming sugar in excess, right? If you're eating a lot of sugar, you're consuming a lot of fats, a lot of this instant gratification in food form, right? But you don't do exercise, You don't do weight training. You don't get regular cardio. You don't go out for walks. You're not eating healthy foods outside of this, right? You don't have regular, healthy, hearty meals. Then the sugar becomes very dangerous and very detrimental. So everything needs balance, including sugar, right? Including eating sugar. Well, I'm not super sure what this is, Nick. Foreign dog food even labeled as without any ingredients from China to attract customers. Oh, I see what you mean. I think I understand what you mean. But I can tell you, in the US is very, very famous for having heavily sweetened food and a lot of genetic modification, a lot of alteration and hormones in the meat and things like that, steroid, whatever. So in the US, actually, we're very famous for really screwing up our food. And you can see it in the people. You can see it because it sort of manifests in the bodies of the average American. So yeah, it's Chinese food or Chinese ingredients are not going to be the only ones who have these problems, right? Because American food is looked at in the same way, really. I would say, at least in my experience, the only place where I think that the food is fairly healthy is probably going to be like some European countries, some EU countries, like European Union countries, have very good food that they don't allow genetic modifications. They don't allow over over sweetening and things like that. Yeah, for sure, Trisha, absolutely. Yeah, Trisha says, look at the huge shape of all kinds of vegetables in American stores. All too scientific. Yeah, it is. It is definitely modified. We know that for sure. Okay, let's go to the next talking point, folks. So, characteristics. Okay, wait, let me see this comment. Yes. I agree with this. So, what is that? Chan. So he says Chinese don't really like sugar compared with other people like Arabia. Yes. I don't know much about Arabians, but I know Americans really love sugar. In China, I also found that, at least in the south, in Guangdong, it seems that people don't really like sweet stuff or sugary things. Things are easily too sweet here. So that's good. That's really, really good. If you are unattracted to sugar, you're already halfway there. You're winning the fight. All right, let's see. Let's go to our next talking point. But before we go to our next talking point, I do want to highlight something. Guys. If you are, I got this from the glucose guys, by the way. If you are muscular, right? If you do regular weight training and you have muscles, like decent muscles, your sugar is sort of absorbed by your muscles. And I think in a similar way that protein is in terms of use. Even though protein retains, but sugar is used as energy for function. So here's the thing: if you have two people and they are both, let's say they are both 60 kg, okay, but one of them is much more muscular than the other, their body will process sugar much better than the person who isn't muscular. And also, this is not to say like if a person is muscular versus a person is fat. Like, even if you're not fat, even if you're skinny, if you are not muscular, right, you don't have the muscles to use that sugar, then the sugar is going to harm you more than it would a person who does regular exercise or regular weight training because the muscles make good use of the sugar. This is why a lot of folks like bodybuilders, like really serious bodybuilders, right? You ask them like, oh, what's your diet like, or what do you eat? They're like, I eat everything. I eat everything and anything. And these guys are huge, right? But part of the reason they're so huge is because they can eat anything because they're going to work it out and use it to build muscle immediately almost. So that's something to keep in mind. If you really like to eat a lot of sugar, either try really hard to cut down or start working on building some muscle so that at least your muscles will use the sugar and it doesn't harm your body so much. All right, so let's go into the next talking point, characteristics. So, characteristics of people driven by instant gratification. So I talked about this off the top a little bit earlier. So some characteristics of people driven by instant gratification include impatience, low tolerance for discomfort or delay, and all or nothing mindset. They often struggle to commit to long-term projects or goals. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, so let me go over the characteristics one more time. So common characteristics are impatience. So if you're a victim of instant gratification, you are often impatient. You have low tolerance for discomfort. So it means that if you are in an uncomfortable situation or position in any way, shape, or form, you don't have much tolerance from it. And honestly speaking, as far as I'm concerned, I think it's important to be uncomfortable. It's important to be able to deal with being uncomfortable, to be able to develop and grow and progress. But let's continue. Right, so low tolerance for discomfort or delay, and all or nothing mindset. So all or nothing means either you get exactly what you want, everything that you want, or you don't get anything at all, or you don't do anything at all. So there's no, it's like to say that you cannot compromise with a person who kind of just works with instant gratification, that they're just used to getting what they want at any moment. So they often struggle to commit to long-term projects or goals. So this is the saying, right? If you are used to instant gratification, it becomes very difficult for you to commit to long-term goals or long-term projects because you want the payoff now. You want the reward now. You don't have the patience to wait for the results to play out. All right. I need to put a kettle in my office. I want to get some hot water. 喝多热水. So, next talking point. Common behaviors. So, this is so ironic. Procrastination, right? That is, it's so ironic that procrastination comes up as a common behavior for our victims of instant gratification. Because people who thrive on instant gratification, they want things to happen now. But when they need to do something, they drag their feet, they procrastinate, they put it off for later. We'll do it later, we'll do it later. I'll get to it eventually. Oh man, that sucks. So common behaviors, procrastination, putting off tasks in favor of quick distractions. So you understand when I say, and I say all the time, waking up at 5 or 6 in the morning is awesome. This is what I'm talking about. If you're a person who suffers with this instant gratification syndrome, then you are less likely to be distracted when you're up very early in the morning. So It can help you become more stable. It can help you become more patient when you are up early because you don't have anybody there to distract you. You don't have notifications or anything. If you distract yourself, then you are becoming your own worst enemy. You can't blame anybody else. So at that point, we have to acknowledge and accept it that, oh, well, I am the problem. Okay, let's see. Impulsive spending. So another common behavior, impulsive spending, buying things on a whim rather than saving for bigger, important goals. So I did mention this yesterday when we were talking about delayed gratification, right? I said, if you don't practice delayed gratification, you are likely to be an impulse buyer. When the 11/11 sales come up, you're the first one that wants to buy things, right? You want to get in on the sale, you don't want to miss the opportunity, so on and so forth. So, well, looks like I was right. Looks like I was right on the opposite end. Hey, 谢谢你的爱心. Thank you so much for the gifts. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are enjoying this conversation this morning, please remember, hit the follow button. 关注一下，谢谢. So, in terms of instant gratification, you're likely to jump on sales, you're likely to jump on discounts, and spend money on things that you don't really need. But when it comes to delayed gratification, you are okay to put off buying something now so that you can save for something better down the road. Or you can save for a better deal later down the road. Okay, next one. Addiction to instant pleasure. Addiction to instant pleasure. So, what are some instant pleasures? Oh boy, I think some of us are going to feel targeted. So, instant pleasures would include, of course, binge watching, social media scrolling, or junk food. Just as some examples. So, this is to say, right? Just because you don't smoke or you don't drink alcohol and you don't do drugs, just because you don't do those things doesn't mean that you do not have an addictive personality or that you don't have addictive habits. Because when you're constantly scrolling on social media, that is considered a instant gratification. That is an addictive habit because of the dopamine hits. Actually, I did an entire live stream just talking about social media and how, as content creators, we make videos that are now, at this point, as short and as engaging as possible to keep you hooked, right? I talk about it in depth. I don't know which one it is. You'd have to dig through my replays. But I definitely covered the subject, and it's pretty interesting. Like, I think after you watch that live stream, you might not want to scroll on social media anymore. So binge watching is like when you have your favorite TV series and you decide you want to watch the whole season in one day, right? And you just sit there and just watch it. But to be fair, guys, I personally prefer binge watching. And the thing is, on a daily basis, or even on a weekly basis, I don't watch movies, I don't watch TV shows, I don't watch TV series. But when there's a series that I do want to watch and it's finished, the whole series is complete, then I will take time to watch it. Only once it's completely over. Because I don't really like having to watch one episode and get a cliffhanger and wait till next week and watch another episode. I really don't like this. So usually I just don't watch TV shows or TV series for weeks and for months. And when it's finally over, I'll just watch the whole thing at once. But on a daily basis, I don't engage with TV shows and movies and stuff. At most, maybe once, maybe twice a month, like period. Excuse me. Let's see, social media scrolling. I've gone so far into social media scrolling, I don't really want to have to repeat all that. And of course, we talked about junk food. All right, so next talking point, the consequences of instant gratification. Consequences. So basically, consequences doesn't always mean downside, but in this situation, it's going to be more about the downside, right? Consequences of instant gratification. First off, missed opportunities. Short term pleasures often derail long term success. So, this is so sad. Because we want something now, we want something in the near term or in the short term, we tend to miss the bigger rewards down the line, the long term successes. So, for example, yesterday I gave the example of some people, they will go to college, they spend most of the time going to parties, hanging out with friends, doing this and doing that, right? So those short-term pleasures, they make the long-term success much more difficult for them. Because then when they have to do when they have to do exams or they have to go to an internship or whatever, it becomes very difficult for them because they have to cram all that they have to do in a very short period of time. And they're risking the several years that they spend studying for nothing, right? Whereas the person who's taking their time, slowly studying every single day and pacing themselves, in general, have better results. So, Liu Wei says, I saw many kids get instant gratification from games. Is it the same in other countries? Absolutely, 100%. So, you know what I have noticed, at least if I'm comparing in the US, right? It feels like, I don't know this for a fact, I don't know it for a fact, but it feels like video game addiction, especially if you're talking about phone games, video game addiction is a bigger problem in Asia than it is in the Americas. That's my observation. I find that even though people in Western countries, kids in Western countries, they love video games, for sure. They love video games. But they are a lot less likely to suffer from video game addiction. We don't really have many serious cases of video game addiction compared to Asia. Where in Asia, it seems like every other kid seems to have some sort of problem with video game addiction. I think that this is going to be related to the cultural dynamics in how kids are raised and what happens in their school life, for example. So, in general, in Western countries versus, let's say, East Asian countries, you will find that there are kids outside all the time, most of the time. They will be outside. Doing what? Who knows? Playing in the woods, riding bicycles, skateboarding. Sometimes they're causing trouble. But the point is, they are outside a lot of the time, and they are socializing a lot of the time. Whether it's positive or negative, that varies, right? A big thing in Western countries is going to be like joining like your basketball team or your football club or something like this. Doing extracurricular activities is super important. That's one thing that is never sacrificed for academics is doing outdoor activities and sports. But in East Asian countries, my observation is that You will always sacrifice going outside, socializing, and doing sports for academics, for sitting, studying, and cramming, right? This is an easy sacrifice in East Asian countries for kids. That's not decided by the kids, that's decided by the teachers and the parents. And I think what ends up happening is that because so many of these kids don't actually get to go outside or do anything, they use video games as their escape. They use video games as a way to get out of their heads and get out of their world and go somewhere else. And that in turn becomes addiction. So this is just my observation, right? I can't give you any data or numbers for this specific thing. It's just my observation, what I've personally experienced living on both sides. Living on both sides and working with kids on both sides. Yes, that's my observation. Excuse me. I can get behind that. So Trisha says, my son's school strictly forbids all students from bringing smartphones or laptops to schools, which is cool. So look, I can get behind this policy. That's okay. But if the school is focusing so hard on kids not being online, they also need to balance it out by making sure that the kids have a lot of time outdoors, a lot of time doing team sports and activities that allow them to build their social skills, to build their communication skills. You don't want your child to be isolated and just focused on memorizing content and material, because in the future, they will have very poor communication skills, very poor social skills. And we know, especially after we talked about it for 3 days, we talked about networking to success. We know that having good communication skills can easily replace 6 years of education. Easily. So don't make sure that even if the school is neglecting the kids in terms of developing their social skills, their communication skills, doing team sports, doing outdoor activities, if they're neglecting it, then you cannot, right? As a parent, what we would have to do is, if we know that the kids are stuck inside all week long while they're at school, then it becomes our responsibility on the weekend or whatever. Make sure you are not home. Make every single effort to make sure that you guys do not stay indoors. You go outdoors as much as possible, and you are with different people doing different activities as often as possible. Yes, exactly what we're talking about. LJ. Oh man. Hey, listen, if your schedule allows you to do that, then that's fine. Whatever, I feel like there's a time to do everything. Personally, I play video games. I play like one specific video game or one specific genre. We call it Souls likes. And the reason I play it is because it is extremely hard. It's a very, very, very hard game to play. When you fight a boss in these video games that I play, you're gonna die at least 100 times or more. That's how difficult it is. And the thing is, when I play those games, for me, it's a type of meditation because it's testing my patience. I need to learn to be patient. I need to understand rhythm. I need to understand strategy. And when you're doing something over and over, it doesn't work, you need to adjust your strategy. See the parts that are working, get rid of the parts that don't work. There's so much planning. There's so much going on in my brain when I play these games, at least the games that I play, that for me, it's actually worth it, especially in respect to the patience side, right? If you're playing video games that you can kill things and beat things up in 30 seconds and they give you a reward, that's going to be horrible. That's going to be really, really hard for your brain and for your habits. If you're doing like short-term matches that just last a minute or two, whatever, that's really, really hard. But if you're doing video games that are extremely challenging, they're very difficult, and that they force you to plan and to strategize over an extended period of time, it does help you develop good habits. It does help you develop patience. It does help you develop a strategic mentality. So for me, I like those. Yeah, I understand you, Trisha. I understand you. Personal opinion, right? This is probably going to be very unpopular, and it's okay. We can disagree, and it can be unpopular. For me, if I have a kid and my kid is doing like Gal Cow prep, 9 hours a day, 12 hours a day, I will take him out of school. I will not allow him to go to that school. Because what that tells me, if my son's school forces him to study 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, sitting at a table, writing notes, memorizing material for a year or 2 years, this is their way of preparing him for the future, then that school is not useful. There's nothing good about that school to me. Because life has a lot more to offer than just passing a single exam, even if it is the Gaokao, even if it is the Gaokao, even if it's a SAT. We can create tons of abundant success without having to brain rot ourselves into memorization of academics. So if I have my kid in a school that understands balancing of study, balancing of academics, balancing of team building, project building, analysis, hands-on training, this kind of stuff, like if they do balance these things, then I don't mind, it's okay. But if it's like a lot of my friends tell me, if it's like this, where they sent their kids to a high school, and then the high school has them studying 10 hours, 12 hours, 9 p.m., 10 p.m., 11 p.m., they're still studying. The lights in the school are still on because they're studying. No, that is unacceptable to me. What that tells me is that the administration for that school is ignorant and they don't know what they are doing. The only thing they can think of is, okay, guys, everybody study really hard for 3 years, 12 hours a day, and you get a good score. If that is your strategy as an administrator in a school, then that tells me that you don't have an education and you actually don't know how to help kids become successful. So I would not, personally, just my personal opinion, I would never allow my child to do that. No way. So there are some schools in China that they have figured out how to balance it. And I think it's usually the experimental schools. They figured out a way to balance things and they understand the importance of communication skills, social skills, team sports, hands-on training, psychology, right? Even, what is it, from this year? Is it this year or last year? I think it's from this year, it's become a national requirement that every school in China has a psychologist on board for the kids. This was not a thing. This has never been a thing. So if that has become the new policy, that tells me that especially people in government are very well aware of the problem and they understand that something needs to change. Because if they didn't, they wouldn't have made that new requirement. Hey, there you go, Terry. Yeah, man. If the words in- Man, the international school thing is a little bit difficult, the way, like, because once you go into international school, I don't think there's any coming back from it. And international school is extremely expensive. Personally, I also don't like international school. So I'm not a big fan of schools like cramming schools, and I'm also not a fan of international schools. From what I observe, international schools are usually way too overpriced, way too expensive. And frankly speaking, the return is not usually worth it. Right, exactly, Trisha. I understand. Hey, dude, there are some kids that they love studying and they practice and they do it like it's the Olympics, and that's fine. If that's what they want to do, that's what they enjoy. But to have all of the kids do that is very cruel. It's very cruel and it's inconsiderate. It's literally taking the easy way out. It's like, I'm a school administrator. I don't know what to do to help these kids learn and be successful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the easy way out and force everyone to study for 12 hours a day. That's literally the easy way out. Instead of thinking about the problem and trying to develop solutions and balance, they just force everybody to study. Nah, that's awful. But anyway, unpopular opinion, but that's what it is. And of course, I have my own issues with like the American school system. I have issues with that. International school systems, I have issues with that. I have issues with all types of school systems. You understand? So it's not like I'm picking on the domestic school system or anything like that. All right. So did we finish? Did we finish everything? Let me finish the end of this talking point. So consequences. Oh, where's the common behaviors? Consequences of instant gratification. So first, missed opportunities. Short-term pleasures often derail long-term success. Next, lack of progress in personal development or business. Of course, because personal development takes time. It's not instant. Doing business takes time. It's not instant. And finally, financial issues due to impulsive spending and a lack of savings. Yes, if you're a person who is driven to instant gratification, you are going to have a lot of trouble saving money. You're going to have a lot of trouble investing, and you're going to be spending a lot of money on impulse. So it makes sense that you would have financial problems. Well. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 9 a.m. I am so sorry for the echo. I'm going to do whatever I can during this weekend to try to deal with the echo because I'm very happy to be in my office, but having this echo, this reverb is very distracting, very inconvenient, I'm sure. So I'll see what I can do. I'll get some rugs and some carpets, start putting some things on the walls, and hopefully it will help absorb some of the sound and the audio quality can be better in the future. If that doesn't work out, I guess I can also try to get a microphone that I can plug directly into my phone that can hopefully absorb some of this reverb so that the audio is more clear for you guys. Okay. If you have any ideas or suggestions about this, because guys, honestly speaking, like I speak Chinese, yeah, but using like Taobao and Jingdong and stuff like that is still very difficult for me because my reading is not that advanced. Okay. So if you have any ideas for what I can do, either microphones that are going to absorb echo or reverb or soundproofing, rugs, whatever. If you have anything, send it to me on my WeChat. So my WeChat, if you don't have it already, my WeChat is the same as my channel name, right? Comment Live. So you just add my user ID, and if you have links or suggestions, whatever, send it to me on my personal WeChat, and I can buy the stuff over the weekend to deal with the sound issue in my office. And hopefully by Monday, we have a much better situation when it comes to the audio. But yeah, that's basically it. If you can help me out with this echo problem, that'd be amazing. Hope you guys have an amazing Friday. Happy Friday. The weekend is kicking in, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys have plans. I hope you go outside, socialize, do some fun activities. If you have kids coming home during the weekend, take them outside, please. Take your kids camping. Take your kids rock climbing, ice skating. I don't care. Take them outside. Do something social. Make them do something that forces them to communicate with other people and be active because they might not get that when they are in school, you know. But yeah, have a wonderful Friday, guys. If I do a stream during the weekend, you might get a random notification, just doing something for fun. Stay beautiful, stay amazing, and I will see you on Monday or during a random stream in the night of the weekend, but likely Monday morning. Have a wonderful time. Bye. Fuck. Oh, I gotta do something about this echo then. What does the sound? Is that a voice recording? And what does the sound?